Hey everyone, it's Terrence Branley with the Grow IT Podcast, and today I'm lucky I've got Joel Plaut, who is a SharePoint. I'm going to call you an expert, Joel, and I'll let you, give us your founder title, which you had a good story before you got on here. But first of all, welcome.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Terrence.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background, and obviously your, extensive. You guys have been doing this for, I don't know, do the math, 20 years.
Absolutely. I've worked with SharePoint since its very first version. I've been a CIO, CTO, and one day, 20 years ago, we had a problem. We used it to solve a particular challenge within a company that related to document management. And over time, people reached out to me, word of mouth, referral, with, I got this problem, I need some guidance, we failed, we have annoyed users. And it just took off on its own. Word of mouth, people have problems. They want a good intranet. They want to migrate off of file shares and get all the benefits of having those files online. They want to make SharePoint work for them. Search, workflows, and we help clients achieve their goals and satisfy their users and collaborate to make their workforce more efficient.
What are some of the specific problems? I mean, you just mentioned, they're like in good marketing terms, even you weren't doing it purposely, right? Is, kind of their desired outcomes and the problems. Like that's kind of the things that we're trying to do with to help clients, right? Get them to their desired outcome, or help them with whatever their, problems or pain points are. What are some of those, that some of those pain points, some of those problems, some of the desired outcomes that you're seeing when you're having conversations with prospects or clients?
Well, it breaks my heart. Sometimes people go down a path and fail. Either people in-house or other vendors do what we call a pump and dump. They just take content without paying any attention to a sensible structure that can work within an organization. They just dump it into SharePoint. And that can cause organic growth and sprawl and break the limits that Microsoft clearly defines on how SharePoint should be structured, how it should grow. And some of those are recurring patterns that we see where people try to put everything into one library or one folder. And the end result is poor performance, bad management of permissions, dissatisfied users who can't find their files. And it breaks my heart when I see people go down a path, throw good money after bad in a bad information architecture. The structure, sort of like library science and naming science, you want to apply just the touch of structure to reduce chaos and allow organizations to structure their information to work for their users.
Is it, Joel, is it because organizations kind of, and a lot do it, applies Band-Aids sort of speak, right? Like when you talk about, that it breaks your heart coming into these situations, is it because of years of putting Band-Aids on things? Is it because, hey, it's just simple to kind of like put all of our stuff into the one closet before guests come over, right? Like what's when you get there, what has happened? What's transpired before you?
Well, it kind of falls into two categories. I'm glad you mentioned that, Terrence, because some of it does organically evolve. Someone sets up a structure 20 years ago when things kind of sprawl and grow in ways that no longer make sense for how a company is structured. Maybe old documents are everywhere, or everything is all within one folder. It's just not organized coherently for users. And only people who've been there for a long time know how to navigate and work within it. And sometimes it's a result of, hey, let's try to do things simply, and going down a path that it's a dead end. With a little bit of advisory or guidance, they can avoid some of those dead ends and ensure that the path that they take will work as the organization grows year after year. And we like to retain our customers long term. And it's in our interest to set things up so it works for them long term. So we can educate them, we can train them so that they're the first tier support. And we remain available. When people get stuck, they can reach out to us. We like to be there for the long term for our clients.
Why People love hearing success stories. I do as well, right? Because it's one thing to hear about hey, here's the challenges we're at, but like maybe give us a couple of success stories, whether it be with specific types of organizations and specific industries, but success stories where you can be able to come in and to help them out. Whether it be with SharePoint issues or maybe things that evolve from SharePoint to other areas of the business that you guys have been able to help them get from, that pain point to their desired outcome, so to speak, to use those marketing terms again.
So one fun thing for us is integrations. So if they have an existing system, we had one client who had a Salesforce system, and we rigged it up so every time a new issuer, a new contact got entered into Salesforce, it would automatically create libraries, folders, document sets, templates. Everything would be rigged up automatically and permissioned automatically. That was all integrated real time, and it saved them an enormous amount of time. Another time, users had a really, really bad landing page. We created an awesome intranet, and it became a place for them to surface the culture of the organization, news, information, events, webinars, and all the links that go along. So we've done that, and then we started to do that again and again. One of the reasons people come to SharePoint is it's effectively free. If you have a Microsoft license, you get all the storage for free. And if you set it up right, it'll sing for the users. So these intranets allow people to navigate, and it's the one-stop shop. An HR person couldn't stop extolling how we saved them. Every time they onboarded a user, users would ask dozens of questions. What's your vacation policy? Your expense policy? How do I submit an out of office or a business travel request? We consolidate all this information, surfaced it on the web page. From that point forward, if HR ever got a question from a new user, they just said, look at the intranet and sent the link. They used to send out all the documents one at a time and just spam people with updated documents. And how many times, Terrence, do you send a document and 5 minutes later you want to update it? If it's on your intranet, they just have the link and you could, behind the scenes, update that document. You don't need to apologize. Hey, we just updated our calendar. Here's the latest one.
What happens to me a lot, by the way.
Me too. You click send and go, whoops.
so clicking send is almost like I should pretend there's like a pretend send button so I can hit it and then go, oh, you know what? I need to do like 3 other edits to that. What are the challenges that you see or have in growing your own firm? Again, I mean, there's obviously a ton of Microsoft clients and prospects out there for you. What are the challenges that you face?
Well, I think for any business, saying no can be the hardest. And I find that there are times that clients need help, and I have to say, we're not the right organization to help you. We really want to make sure that the services we provide are perfect and we have the capabilities for the clients. And sometimes they need something different. So we'll do a referral, we'll pass them to a real expert. So there are companies that just say yes to everyone. Mm-hmm. They mean well, and it's all with the best of intent. The road to hell is paved with the best of intentions. But we will say no. But as we've matured over time, we've come to realize that we want to make sure we're at the right impedance level with the clients. So they're right-sized for us, their needs fit us, and that they understand that they'll need to bring their people to the table as well. We can't work in a vacuum. And it's back and forth. So if I'm going to create the perfect architecture for a client, it can't be in a vacuum. I don't take it off a shelf. We really need to engage their business users. And there needs to be as well a willingness to adapt and slightly change. The cheese might move a little bit. And what we bring to the table are, here are all the benefits. And let me show you what I call the gems Microsoft spends billions to create and leave hiding in plain sight. We can surface these capabilities for users, and that's the best. We try not to develop. A lot of our work is development, but we try to find solutions that might work out of the box. And we'll go over those trade-offs because the cost to customize could be quite high. So we want clients who really have an open mind and don't mind us giving them guidance and trying to help them to pick the right solution.
What are, you kind of mentioned some that are kind of the right size, right fit? Like if you were kind of describe, and I don't want to say an ideal client, but I'm going to say it, right? But like what would they look like? Is it a specific size? Is it a specific industry? Is it ones that have that are a little bit more flexible in terms of the things that they adopt? I mean, maybe if you can talk a little bit about those.
Absolutely. So we tend not to work with private individuals. We're not B2C. We don't do consumer level guidance. It's meant more for organizations. Typically, they're from 25 employees up to a few thousand employees. So we're in that range where they understand the concept of requirements, scope management, and we can coordinate with them. I like to say an educated consumer is our best customer, and we like to help to educate them, to help them along that growth path, to partner with them. Because let's say they move their files into SharePoint, they may want to then subsequently take the next step and set up proper compliance, retention policies, file disposition, controlling digital rights management, and PII, which is personal information controls. So if you think about it, organizations are on a journey, a path, and we help create that roadmap to get them there and pick the things that have the highest value today in terms of productivity, helping them to grow their business, helping to streamline their workflows to make their staff more efficient. And as they go along the way, they could tighten compliance and management and controls and get the benefits of auditing and being able to put these more significant policies into place within organizations.
Let me ask you this: what, obviously, there's a lot of trends that are coming about in IT. The biggest one is obviously artificial intelligence, large learning models. Obviously, Microsoft having its own, part in that in terms of Copilot. What impact do you see both as AI and those LLMs, as well as maybe specific to Copilot being, Microsoft SharePoint architect expert? Like, how do you see that playing out? What are your clients, and how are they viewing it, and how are they looking at things?
These are such significant evolving capabilities. The first thing I see with clients is that they've portioned off part of their budget to explore these because they realize the significance, and yet they don't know the precise solution for it. We've explored Copilot. It's funny you mentioned Copilot, but that's the central AI component being built in across the entire Microsoft framework and collaborative environment. And clients have asked us, could we do collaborative workshops in Copilot? So we could start to envision use cases, how their analysts and their internal people can benefit from Copilot, how it can help solve problems, draft emails, tune letters that they write, and work more interactively with them within the organization. So we set up either in our tenant or their tenant these kind of little labs to experiment and to work with their users. And they often handpick users who are a bit more open-minded, take a look into how these interactive large language model driven inputs and benefits from Copilot can help them. And it's constantly evolving. Microsoft is constantly enhancing. It's just the beginning of a journey. Microsoft has priced it quite high because they know everyone's interested, but all this will trickle down within the entire ecosystem, and their pricing model will inevitably evolve. And now's the time to start to understand it and envision solutions that are specific to industries and companies.
What are ways that clients or prospects can do that, can kind of get started or kind of like, understand maybe how it can play a part into their processes or to their organization, right? Because we are kind of the forefront of it.
So we set up these workshops, and what we do is try to set up a regular meeting, working session with 1, 2, or 3 users within a company. We run this with them, and some of it's just talking to understand some of the workflows and business processes they do, and what other specialists within the company we could pull in, if they're an insurance broker or underwriter, how they go about their work. If you think about it, inevitably they start to mine reference information. They start to look at prior contracts. A lawyer, an analyst, they're digging through all this material. So we look into how to feed that information in advance proactively into Copilot. We also look into what policies could be set so there isn't leakage with outside the company, because all of this intelligence reading in your corporate information could easily be built into an LLM and surface elsewhere. So some of what makes companies uncomfortable, and they want to explore what's possible, is how to set up those boundaries, those firewalls, so their information doesn't leak out.
Which is no easy task, right?
It's very hard because you would ultimately need to know the lineage of any output. If Copilot suggests something about growing a business, you'd want to make sure that that lineage is reportable or traceable, or you get some sort of assurance from how the system is set up that information you feed into it doesn't leak outside, much like if you talk to a therapist, doctor, or analyst, that information doesn't leak out.
Is that the biggest concern that you see that organizations have revolving around what, whether containing whether it's, let's just say their data, whether it's, sensitive, protected data, is that one of the bigger concerns?
Yes, it's one of the biggest concerns that gets raised in the largest of organizations. If you have a small organization, they just want to drive revenue, and what they do isn't so secret. But within a really big company, let's say you're a big bank, and someone decides to take your entire client transaction base, running it into an LLM, a Copilot, something to digest, analyze. The insights that come out of that, the company running that LLM may not fully understand that those can surface elsewhere, those patterns, and be used outside the company. And those clients ultimately could have a claim on you for exposing their information. Now, Microsoft and others want to give assurances, but at the same time, they're hungry for quality raw data and raw text to ingest into the model. And a lot of these model vendors don't fully understand, they can't, how exactly that model really works. What happens when you put that data in and the output starts to improve when a question gets asked? To what extent is that attributable to the data going in? So that gets dicey, and some companies just refuse to go down that road of considering using LLMs. But let's think about this. You may not want to do, let's say, engineering of DNA, but another company will. They'll leverage those models and they'll use it to their competitive advantage. So that's the other pull on this.
That to me is the biggest risk, right? So I think back to back to when I first came into the business world, and the internet, right, was just coming about, and companies were trying to understand how they would build intranets or kind of gate behind the walls to leverage the power of it. But the differences with AI is that if you choose to wait, or it seems to be, and I'd like to get your take on this, if you choose to wait, it can be exponentially detrimental to you from a competitive standpoint, right? This is not the type of technology that you want to just say, we'll be one of the late adopters, right? Because it can have compounding effects that if you don't kind of get on the bus, it's not going to be one of those things where you say, hey, we'll let everyone make the mistakes and then we'll kind of come in and jump in, right? I think that's one of the things that I'm curious about.
Sometimes, like you say, being late allows you then to leapfrog. Let's look at cell phone use in East Europe. They were not encumbered by the landlines that were slowing things down. They made a leap. There are leaps to be made, but at the same time, changes are happening so rapidly that those who are not considering adoption or not learning about these capabilities can be left in the dust. And that takes us back to what I'm seeing, which is companies allocating a portion of their budgets to exploring AI and the strategic meaning for their business and how it can be both a threat and an opportunity. They're two very different halves of it.
Mm-hmm.
What are the opportunities and what are the risks? And of course, the risk of inaction.
Yep. Well, can you walk us through like what it looks like, the path that, let's say, a new client takes with you? And again, every client's different, every situation's different, every client has different needs, different desired outcomes, as we said earlier. But can you kind of walk us through what what that process looks like with you guys?
So typically, it all starts with conversations. People have a problem, they reach out to us. We have a couple of conversations that help gel what the scope would be and how we can help. And we kind of distill and frame this out in a way that they agree to or help us refine. Once we're ready to go, within a day of signing the agreements, we would have a kickoff. We'd bring people to the table and talk about what's needed to get it done. Accounts, access, software, and just set the stage for frequency and timing of meetings to move it forward. We have a main point of contact that we assign, and they're both a subject matter expert, in our case, a SharePoint architect, and they're also a project manager. So that one person is on top of everything. And behind every client engagement, we have an email address we give to them. They don't need credentials to log on to a system. Any input that they have, they just CC this email address, and we got the right architects on copy who can immediately respond. One of the key things we bring to the table and why people come to us is rapid response. A lot of our clients are in pharmaceuticals, private equity, and finance, and they expect concierge level white glove support. None of this calling into a phone chain. They send an email and they could be on the phone within 5 minutes, a Zoom call, working through their problems or talking through options around an issue. So why do we retain clients? By delighting the users and the customers. It's not based on legal agreements. It's based on delivering excellence for the users.
Yeah, the funny part is I always tell people like legal agreements are the last thing that we look at, right? Because it's like at the end of the day, the lawyers are the only ones that make money anyway, and if we're not doing what a client needs, then I do not want to hold any client hostage, and it just makes no sense. But one of the best compliments, and I think to pay to you guys, right, is any firm that's grown by referrals, word of mouth, and through their network that says they're doing things the right way, right?
Never thought about that, but you're 100% right. That's how we've grown. People oddly sometimes leave a company and they drag us with them as they're headed out the door. They're signing us up to that next client. And that's why we tend to stay within pharmaceuticals, private equity, finance. We've grown beyond that. But once you're in an industry, people tend to reuse you. And that's largely people coming to us or hear about us or know about us. That's how we do our signups.
Well, it's the best way to do it. It's if you're going to build a business, you build it the right way, and that is from the way you've done it, and getting referrals and getting folks in the network to continue to bring business your way. So, as we wrap up here, what are Joel? What are some good ways that people can either learn more about you, follow you, get in contact with you?
Well, we love to have a conversation. So reach out. We'd love to set up a call just to chat. We're so passionate about these technologies. We love to have a conversation or two and share some of our insights. But come to our website, reality-tech.com. We have tons of blog articles, and I've been publishing videos. You'll find us on Instagram, YouTube, across a range of platforms where I try to share some insights on what works, what doesn't work, most important things to keep in mind based on the kind of project that you're looking to do. We just love sharing, and we want to see people succeed.
In today's day and age and the way that things have evolved, that value forward approach is really what makes a huge difference, right? Because buyers are out there, they know what issues that they have. They're out there actively trying to learn more about people that have solutions to their problems. And clearly putting out the level of content and videos and things of that nature is huge, right? It's just that value forward approach that prospects and clients alike like. So we'll make sure and put all the links in there for you too.
I appreciate it, Terrence. A lot of companies face similar problems, but every single one of these challenges is slightly different. And I really think it's important to take advantage, to reach out to me, reach out to other experts, have a conversation. And that's part of the learning, to gain perspective, to gain ideas. But make use of the experts. There's not enough time in the world to make every possible mistake.
Well, if there was, I'd probably make many of them. But with that said, Jill, I'm really appreciate you coming on today, and we'll look forward to having another conversation, I'm sure, again in the future.
Thank you so much, Terrence. You take care.
Thank you, Joel.